Hey girl, welcome back, and if you're new here, I'm Kat the Wren. Today's video is the ultimate everyday go-to makeup look. This is something that if I do wear makeup, which most days I don't, but if I do wear makeup, this is the look that I typically go for. A very matte and flat face with minimal eyeshadow and a nice neutral lip. If you all are interested in seeing how I achieve this very simple but very glam everyday look, or could be a night out look, a day look, a wear wherever look, then definitely keep watching. Of course, I'm starting the video off with a clean face. If you are a primer wearer, you should definitely put it on at this point of the video, but personally, I just use my moisturizer as my primer. For my brows, I'm using my Benefit Precisely My Brow Pencil in the shade number 6. This pencil is perfect for every day because I've personally had it forever and it never dries out. So I just use it to basically create a shape and fill in any sparse areas. And then I use the spoolie to distribute the product throughout my brow hairs. For foundation, I'm using this Morphe foundation. I think this is called the Soft Focus No Filter, something along those lines foundation in the shade 26. And I'm using a flat foundation brush to apply this to my skin. So I really like this foundation. It's lightweight, but it does have really amazing coverage. It covered up my acne scars beautifully, as you all can see, with just one layer of product. Grabbing a little bit more of that Morphe foundation on a smaller, flatter brush. I'm using it to clean up the top of my brows only. I like to use my foundation shade because I don't want to have glowing brows. You guys know that lighter ring around it if you use a shade that's too light. And then after that, I'm going to clean up the bottom of my brow, and I am using a product that is a shade lighter than my actual skin tone. This is the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer in the shade Tan, and I'm using that same brush because it's super precise to get under my brows and clean them up. And whatever excess product is left on that brush, I'm going to blend it down onto my eyelids. Using that same Maybelline concealer but in a lighter shade, this time I'm taking the shade Golden and I'm applying this underneath my eyes to highlight with. And as you all are going to see, I'm not using a ton of product. With this being an everyday look, we definitely want our face to look highlighted, but we don't want it to be too over the top. So I'm applying this shade Golden in the inner corner of my under eye and also on the outer area of my under eye. I'm then going to apply a little bit more of that concealer but in the shade Tan, and mixing the two together gives me the most beautiful highlight shade. I do like their shade Caramel, but I couldn't find mine, so that's why I'm mixing these two. And then I'm taking a little bit more of that first original Tan shade and I'm applying this on my chin, on my forehead, and down the bridge of my nose to give these areas a more subtle highlight than what's going to be under my eyes. The next step is to add a little contour to the face. So I'm using this Anastasia foundation stick in the shade Cocoa. I really love using foundation sticks as my contour shades because this product pretty much stays in place wherever you put it. If you use a cream or a liquid to do this, it moves around a lot. To maximize my control of my contour, I do prefer to use a product that's a bit more stiff, and foundation sticks are just that. Once I have that in place and blended out, I am grabbing my Mercier translucent loose setting powder, and I'm pressing this into the areas that I highlighted. So underneath both of my eyes, on my eyelid, my chin, my forehead, and I'm also going to place this on the bridge of my nose, but instead of pressing it into the skin on my nose, I'm going to let it bake on top to really make that highlight on my nose stand out. After that, I'm going in to define the area underneath my contour. This is definitely optional. If you don't like the sharp, crisp line look, skip this step. But if you do like that look, do this step. So I'm grabbing the Maybelline concealer in tan again, and I basically just created a line with that concealer brush I've been using, and now I'm using my foundation brush to blend it out. This line was super prominent, so I did have to work it quite a bit. I even went in with a little bit of leftover product from that contour brush to really fade out this concealer and to get it looking the way that I intended. Next up is one of my favorite steps, which is bronzing. So I'm grabbing this Sephora bronzer in Mykonos, such a good product, you all. And I'm basically placing this over the areas that I contoured, but I'm also using it to blend out those edges so that everything is seamless. And then I'm following that with a face powder. This is the Black Radiance powder. I've been using this on my channel for like 5 or 6 years now. I just can't put it down. It's just that good, you all. And I'm using this once again to make sure that everything is seamless and that there are no harsh lines. Now with a small fluffy crease brush, I am grabbing a little bit more of that Sephora bronzer, and I'm going to use this to add definition back onto my eyelid. So instead of pulling out an entire eyeshadow palette, I have really been enjoying just grabbing bronzer and using it as eyeshadow. So once I have that placed on and blended out beautifully, I hopped back to my face and I grabbed that Mercier translucent powder, and I'm basically placing it down the sides of my nose. Instead of contouring my nose, I just like to focus on highlighting, and to me it just comes across as a more natural and subtle look. I also placed that powder right under the area where I contoured at, just to clean everything up a bit and to make sure that everything was nicely set in place. For my eyeliner today, I'm using the Revlon So Fierce Vinyl Eyeliner, which is so good. You definitely need to get your hands on this. And I am tight lining my waterline. And then I'm following that with a little bit of mascara. This is by Lancome. It is their Idole mascara. So good, you all. My lashes on the bottom are like non-existent, and this makes them stand out without clumping. I absolutely love it. Now time for a little blush. I'm not really a blush girl, but lately I've been using it and really enjoying it. So this one is by MAC. It's called Sweet as Cocoa, and I'm placing this on my outer cheek, pretty much blending it into my contour shade. And next up, I'm grabbing highlighter. So I'm using the Morphe highlighter in the shade Extra, and I'm placing this on the highest points of my cheekbones. And then whatever leftover product is on the brush, I'm placing this on my brow bone. After that, I'm grabbing this fluffy powder brush that has a little bit of that excess Black Radiance face powder on it, and I'm using it to dust away all of that loose setting powder. And then I'm grabbing an itty bitty brush with a little bit of that Morphe highlighter on it and placing it on the tip of my nose as well as right above my nostrils. Oh yeah, and down the bridge of my nose too, because we definitely want that highlight to stand out in the center. Next up is time for lips. So I'm grabbing this Charlotte Tilbury lip pencil in the shade Pillow Talk 3, and of course just using it to line my lips. And for the color in the center, I'm using a NYX Soft Matte Lip Cream in the shade Abu Dhabi. This combination, you all, is so gorgeous. Originally, I was planning to put a gloss over it, but decided not to because I loved how this looked on its own. Once I finished the lip, it was time to set everything in place. So I grabbed my Morphe setting mist and sprayed it all over my face. So this is pretty much the finished look. I hope you all enjoyed it. It is the ultimate everyday makeup routine, a really beautiful, soft glam look that is appropriate for every day and every occasion. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.